guys, this is Grace and welcome to my channel and welcome to process video number 238. I forgot what I titled this layout. I'm sorry. It's been at least 2 weeks since I created this layout and I'm just now doing the voiceovers. This was actually inspired by a January virtual crop at the Facebook group for Scrapbook Generations. They had a sketch that you were to follow and be inspired by, and that's what I'm doing here. Unfortunately, just like with everything in my life right now, I was late in creating the layout, and so therefore I wasn't able to submit it. But you know, I videotaped it, so I just decided that why not do or show the process of me creating the layout. So again, this is a double page layout, and the sketch kind of has a all of the photos and the elements are kind of more in the center of the 12 by 24 canvas, and then there's a bit of elements on the top left as well as on the top right, and so that's kind of what I'm going to mimic here. This is going to be a masculine page, and so I pulled out some papers from I think it's an Echo Park paper pad that I got a Tuesday morning, and it has some kind of vintage sports theme type of papers. It has a lot of grunge and distress to it. It also has, of course, as you can see, this paper that has some icons of sports, and so I'm going to use that. This layout is of my oldest son when he went to a wrestling camp, and it was one of those 3-day wrestling camps at a college about 3 hours away from our town, and so we drove him there, and then we left him there for the whole duration of the time, and then just drove back up after the camp was done to pick him up. And this was his first time to go to a camp like this, and so I just wanted to document it for him. So again, like I said, the elements are going to be in the center, and this type of sketch is actually like pretty easy to translate to a 4x6 if you have 4x6 photos, because as you can see, my 3x4s are in a 4x6 canvas, and I just kind of trim them up so you can easily use the 4x6, but it has to be horizontal photos. If you do vertical, I think I'm sure you can still make it work, but then you'll have to kind of piece them together and fill in the blanks with pattern paper here and there. But I really like this sketch because if you've been a subscriber for a while, you know I like those kinds of sketches that go across that span the layout from left to right. I don't know, that is something that's easy on my eyes and easily that I can easily replicate, and so I like those kinds of layouts or sketches rather. And then in the sketch, it also has some room for you to decorate, and most of them are going to be to fill in like 3x4 cards, pocket cards. And this particular collection that I am using has a piece of paper that has a bunch of 3x4 vertical cards. And so I'm just cutting them all here and kind of seeing which one I will use. Again, I don't have my plans well ironed out at this point. I'm just I knew I wanted to use these papers, and I have a sketch, but I don't really know like the details of it. So I'm just kind of going through the papers. Some of these I'm actually going to overlap just because I feel like some, like that, winners don't wait for chances, they take them. I really, really like that quote, but I feel like I can use one more paper to frame it. So I'm going to do that later. Now that bottom piece that I'm pointing at right now, that's going to house my title. And so I'm trying to figure out what kind of paper I'm going to use for that. And I'm just kind of going through the papers that I've already cut. As you notice, I didn't cut very much from the papers that I was working with. And this is the collection that I am currently pulling items from. It's Work Hard, Play Hard. Again, that's from Echo Park, and I got that at Tuesday morning. So I decided to pull out this paper. I could have used maybe a red that striped red paper has very subtle designs that will work. But my problem is I already used that red for the stripe, that really thin 1/4 inch strip that is very close to the paper block. So I don't know, I just felt like I needed another color there. So I'm moving things around here. As you notice, that slate or grayish type of paper was very close to the black. And so I had to move that just because they're too close together with the colors. And so that might be something that you want to consider next time when you are combining papers. Make sure that the colors are, if you want them to stand out, or each of them want, if you want each of them to stand out, that's what I'm trying to say, you need to combine or make sure that the papers that are close together do not resemble the colors, so that they will stand out against each other. So now I'm going to create the banners. Again, this sketch called for some banners. That's kind of a typical scrapbook generation sketch. I've noticed is that they do a lot of banners, and so I'm gonna do the banners on the top left, and it just has, I think it has five different types of banners. Can't remember if I'm going to end up having five, but I'm going to start with this four here. And I'm just cutting some notches. If you notice this gray paper that has some blueprints on it, that's actually from one of the 3x4s. And that's something that you might want to consider. Again, if you have some 3x4 cards that you don't really care for, you can cut them up and use them as kind of a scrap piece of paper. So I'm going to move things around, kind of moving the papers to the bottom so that I can have some space on the top to create my banners. And the sketch also called for a little strip of paper on that top right, and so I'm adding that there. I don't know if I like that so much, but I'm just kind of following the sketch. And that's another thing that I like about sketches, is that when I really don't want to think about my layout, I can just follow it to a T, even though that's not necessarily my style. That's what helps me to not be burnt out and not just give up on scrapbooking. So I decided to move the papers around just because I noticed that icon paper, the one with all of the sports icons, they were just kind of, I don't know, it wasn't looking good for me on the top. And so now I've adhered everything. And as you can see, this is where I am going to frame this quote. So as you can see, I have that game day menu, and that particular card does not match my theme. So I know that I can cover that up, and that could be a good frame for that quote. And I also typed my journaling and cut them in strips and then added that to that little piece. Initially, I was thinking maybe I'll just handwrite my journaling, but I was typing some journaling already for a few more layouts. And so I decided to just type it because, trying to be efficient here. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you is that in the sketch, the elements that were shown were snowflakes. And so I feel like those are the kinds of things that we can change up to match our theme of our layout. So that's one of the things for me anyways, that I can reuse a layout over and over again, is if I look at those particular elements, embellishments, and then change it up to match my particular layout. So in this one, instead of doing snowflakes, I'm adding stars, and I have a die cut star, and it's nested, which is one of my favorite dies to invest in, is because you get different sizes of that shape. So I have some stars, and I did cut some of it with some of the pattern papers, but I also cut them in some scraps of glittered black cardstock, some different shades of blue, and then I also have some silver because, why not? I just feel like the silver can match the theme that I'm going for. So this layout came together pretty fast after I've adhered everything. I did add my title, which is Tough Guy, because, when you're wrestling, you get scrapes and bruises. I don't know if you can tell, but my son's left eye had some scrapes on the side of his eye and along his cheek. But that is expected, because they're pretty rough on the mat. But My son is now a senior, and we are actually, right now, as I'm doing the voiceover, we are in the thick of wrestling season, and I couldn't have been more proud of him with the way his season is turning out. We are grateful that we have a season. I know some sports can't have a season because of COVID, but we are grateful, even though there's a lot of restrictions and a lot of changing of the rules. But we are grateful that we have a season, and I'm grateful that I'm able to document this particular event for my son. So that's going to be it for me. As you can see, I am just adding some finishing touches. I will be adding those stickers like off the camera. I just showed you where I'm going to place them, but I'm just going to adhere them after I have turned off the camera, because adhering is sometimes kind of boring. I mean, you know where that's going to go, and you know what I'm going to use to adhere those. Usually glue dots, a combination of strips and also or adhesive strips, and also some glue dots. And that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about this video or any of the videos that I post, make sure that you leave that in the comment section below. And if you like these videos, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. And I will catch you guys in another video. Bye.